Hey, Kyle here, with another video. This is the first video I've done, well, the second video I've ever done, using my little backdrop here, with more or less my little studio area. I've been working on a very special list. I won't really say what it's for yet, but if you go over to my blog, you'll see that right away. So I put together two Slaanesh aspiring champions for two Slaanesh squads. Mainly for basically giving them two melty guns and sticking them in a rhino, making them pop the hatch. But really, I did some conversion work, since I had the two Slaanesh shoulder pads, and both of them have that. But Joe has been starting his Dark Eldar army, and he's had a whole bunch of these extra weapons and bits. So I looked at the swords, and I'm like, those could be Slaanesh swords, or looted Eldar swords. And so, this is basically what I came up with. Zoom in. See if I can zoom in. There we go. Just had to drop it down. So this is what I came up with. I have two of these guys. Some of the parts are primed. These were basically like the backpack here. I have to sort of brush off. So it's just a little dusty. I basically took some legs I had laying around from my combat squad. And I took a torso of an aspiring champion that I had laying around, and I just converted it all up. So I'm going to show you this one first. This is Joe gave me a couple heads, the Dark Eldar Calibite heads, and two power weapons that they have. And I kind of just figured, well, I'm just going to stick these swords on them because they look really cool. They look very Slaanesh-like. And although, basically, the way I'm going to say, as a story, maybe these guys are actually Dark Eldar, or Eldar, and they just decided to join my warband, and then we gave them a set of new armor, which is power armor. So basically, these are actually Dark Eldar in power armor, which there's not going to be very many of them. I'm not going to go and do that to the entire squads. Let's just say that the Chaos Lord, the lead Chaos Lord of the warband, the Silent Knights warband, the guy on the Disc Zar. His full name is Zaroff, by the way. I'll have a video on him eventually. So basically, these weapons, these were originally Eldar, or Dark Eldar, who were abandoned, and they decided to join my warband, and the warband accepted them with open arms, because and gave them a set of power armor. That there's a spare set of power armor that they looted and then converted up and modified for them, and they decided to align with Slaanesh. So this whole arm here basically this whole arm here is normal Space Marines with the Slaanesh shoulder pad, a Dark Eldar power sword. The whole arm is the power sword, and with the shoulder pad. It's really just, I just stuck it on there, and then just stuck a shoulder pad over it with some super glue, and a little bit of plastic glue, sort of mixture, because it's kind of weird to get on. So, and a Dark Eldar head. So they're basically Dark Eldar in power armor, and they're in the Chaos Warband, and they are aligned with Slaanesh, which kind of fits them well. So this is going to be one for one of them. And now my other one, which is a little more elaborate, has a bolt gun instead of a bolt pistol, but he still gets the bolt pistol. He gets both weapons. So I just decided to give him a bolt gun just to make him look a little more different. And I took the chainmail torso with little spiky legs, and then I took this arm with the little blade on the end, blade on the elbow, and sort of just did the same process. And it's the same power sword, just different pose. Except for this one, his arm would have been his arm would have been pointing straight forward, but I scored the side of it and I just stuck it on there. So I just took a biker arm, chopped it up, chopped it at the shoulder, and cut the wrist off. And then I glued a bolt gun hand on and then put a bolt gun on there. So, and a different Dark Eldar head. And a normal little backpack that I pulled off of it was an extra backpack I had on a sprue. So, I like these guys. These guys look very different, considering they're basically Chaos Eldar. And basically when I paint them, they're going to be painted, the main armor is going to be Silent Knights, you know, the blue, you know, the ice blue with the white shoulder pads, but instead of the white shoulder pads, they're going to be more Slaanesh colors. Maybe some erotic color, I guess. So, maybe like a pink with purple trim, or maybe pink with like a silver trim. I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get the color, when I start painting them. Now basically when I prime these, even though some of it's primed, I'm basically going to do really quick, you know, just sort of brush over it with the primer. Not like a brush, but sort of lightly coat it, and it won't put too much on the currently primed parts. So these are basically first two Slaanesh 10-man squads within Rhinos. They're going to be led by two Dark Eldars in power armor, just to add really a little more fluff. You know, now my warband accepts other races as well, as long as they prove their allegiance in some way. In this case, these two have. And basically, they're going to both be in there with just a power weapon, and they're going to have the mark of Slaanesh, so it's initiative 5, so they can hit first on, you know, normal Space Marines or Imperial Guard. They'll get the hit first in an assault. And each squad is going to have two plasma guns. You know, more for the objective holding, you know, that kind of thing. So this is basically the whole shebang right here. I'm just going to basically take some of these Space Marines. I'm not going to use the Heavy Bolter. I'm just going to take some of the already primed Marines and just quickly paint them up. I have another Aspiring Champion here. I might take off his arm and put a Power Fist on there instead. So basically I'm just going to take all these, just paint them up real quick with the, you know, the same shoulder pads as them, just so I can tell them apart. And let's just say that my Khorne Berserker is going to get ripped apart for some of their parts. Like, there's the one with the Power Fist. I gotta take off this Power Fist. If I can. I gotta take off this Power Fist because I'm putting on some. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I know what I'm gonna do. But anyways, this is gonna be for a list that I'm building. Basically, these are gonna be more of the objective holders. So there they are. Something a little different. Basically, they're just Dark Eldar in power armor with a few different armor pieces. So tell me what you think. Joe basically came up with the idea for the Dark Eldar heads. So I just sort of my jaw almost dropped when I heard him say that. I'm like, dude, yeah. So I just basically chose the less Eldarish head. It looks a little more like Chaos. As you can see, more of the studded helmet, you know, layered armor helmet. I didn't want to have like the big, like, ornate crests. So Joe is basically gonna be giving me a lot of his spare parts, and I'm gonna give him some of the parts that I have in exchange. So it's a lot of basically I put these two together in a few hours, actually in less than an hour. So yeah. I like these guys. Whenever I look at them, I'm like, damn, they look cool. You know? Put these back a little bit so you can see them a lot better. So basically, they would get the extra attack for having two close combat weapons. This is kind of a cool thing about the Chaos Codex. You know, they can get the extra attack for having two close combat weapons. That's why I didn't choose a Power Fist. because they get both a bolt pistol and a bolt gun. So this guy also has a bolt gun, but this guy also has a bolt pistol. Might just glue the holstered one on or something. But that's normally what you would do, is just glue a holstered one on. But it doesn't work with all codexes, apparently. I still got to do more research on it. So basically, these guys would get 4 attacks, and they would get 3 attacks, and the rest would get 2. And then when they charge, they get 4, and then 3 for everything else. And with Khorne Berserkers, it's even higher. Which is awesome. So, I'm going to announce what I'm using this stuff for, but if you go on my blog, you'll find out right away. So, tell me what you think. These are my Dark Eldar, well, my Slaanesh Eldar champions, or Slaanesh aspiring champions, who are Dark Eldar. This is Kyle Lake Spy 665 signing out with my 2 new models. Bye.